Hi, honeys, and welcome back to another episode of Ghetto Do It For You. This week, I want to talk about soulmates and red string theory because I've been seeing a lot of it everywhere and it's just got my mind thinking about things. So, let's get it going. So, the actual definition of the red string theory is hold on, I have it here. It is an invisible red thread that connects those who are destined to meet regardless of time, place, or circumstance. The thread may stretch or tangle but will never break. And I don't know if you've heard of that, but I have, and I've seen a lot of it. And basically saying that, like, no matter what, you're meant to meet certain people for certain reasons, and there is one person, like, I believe it that there is one person for everybody, and I believe in the red string theory that there is a thread tied to you and someone else out there, another soul out there, that one day your paths will cross and that'll be it. Because it's like everything leads you to a person. Like, think of every little decision you've ever made, ever in your whole life. If you had changed, like, you said yes to something, if you had said no, your life could be 100 times different. And there's just so many things that you don't ever realize, but if you sit back and you think about that stuff, there are so many little things that play into where you are and how you got to where you are today and who you have met along the way and how you've met those people and who you end up with. Like, there are so many ways that I could have not met my husband, like how I met him. But I do believe that if we hadn't met on Tinder, then that we would have met some other way. So I just think that some people are just meant to be. And I know that's very cliche, but I do believe that there is one person for everybody. And I think that the red string theory is true, that you are tied to somebody and you don't know it. And like it said, they'll get tangled, they'll get twisted, but they don't break. And one day it leads you to each other. And I think that's amazing. Like, no matter what, like, you see people who get remarried when they're way older, or they find the love of their life when they're not 20, they're 50 sometimes. And that's okay. It's because you were meant to meet them, just not when you, like, you know, the people who are always like, I wish I had a boyfriend, or I wish I had this, or I want a boyfriend, I want a husband. You just haven't met them yet. That doesn't mean you're not going to, but like, your path is just different. You'll meet them eventually, just not right now if you haven't. Like, it doesn't mean you're never ever going to get to that point. But don't rush it. But if you think of all the, things that have happened in your life, if you had just changed one thing, your whole life would look different. So let me think. Let's see, if I didn't swipe right on Matthew, would have swiped left, never would have been a thing, right? So many other ways that could have happened too. If before that, if me and my first boyfriend didn't break up when we did, or him and his girlfriend, they didn't break up when they did, we might not have ended up on Tinder at the same time. Meeting friends, like, your friends introduce you to other friends. And if I hadn't met Matthew, I would never have went to a car show that led me to Becca that has been on here. We all know we love her. Would never have met, that's where I met Becca. Like, I would never have met her if I hadn't met Matthew and went to that car show and had went to the food line and bumped into her. Rachel probably would have met her because we went to primary school together, but like, that's our parents. Kaylee, like, I wouldn't have met Kaylee if a mutual friend didn't introduce me to her. Like, you meet people because of other people, and I think it's really interesting on if you, like, so Kaylee, I met her because our mutual, we weren't introduced as friends. I was introduced to her as someone who did nails, and my friend was like, oh, we should go to Kaylee to get our nails done because she does a fabulous job now that we've moved back from college. And I was like, sure. Like, I had just been going to random salons around here because I didn't really have like a nail ghetto. And I was like, okay. And I met Kaylee. She did my nails. She was amazing. I would say she did my nails for like 6 months before our friendship became a friendship, and it turned into a really good friendship. Like, now we're really good friends. So that it's like so interesting how things blossom, and how you just you really wouldn't know, you wouldn't be where you are if things were a little different. Like, So, and things happen for a reason, you know, like at the time when they happen, when you break up with someone or something bad happens, you're upset, you're devastated, but there's always something better waiting for you. And I think it's really like you don't realize it. And I like to try and remind myself if something bad's happening, I'm like, okay, it's because something good's gonna happen. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But you still don't realize it. And then if you look at things where something bad had happened and you're like, oh, I'm actually so thankful that happened. So um back in 2021, I think it was. Yeah, in 2021, I had went for an interview for this job at where I actually currently work, but it was a different job. I went for a job and I went for the interview and I failed it. Completely bombed the interview, right? Okay. Was completely devastated because I was currently on an unpaid internship at the time and I really needed a job. Like, I was like, I'm broke. Matthew had been asking me to move in with him, and I told him I can't move in with you if I don't have a job because I can't afford to pay bills. I can't afford to do anything. And he's so sweet. He did not even care about that. But I was like, I can't do that to you. Like, I don't want to put that burden on you. So I was like, no, I need a job. This unpaid internship isn't going to work any longer. And the place where I was doing the unpaid internship, they weren't turning it into a job for me. So I ended up not staying with that place. So I applied somewhere else, went for the job interview, completely bombed it. The minute I left, I was crying because I knew it was bad. Didn't get a phone call for a while, and then I got a phone call from them and they said, yeah, we're really sorry, but you didn't do it. And I was like, okay. So then I went and got a job at Starbucks for the time being and kept applying to different places and, you know, trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I went to Starbucks, got a job there for a while, moved in with Matthew, you know, figured it out. But I was still applying to the same job that I had applied to, or the same company that I had applied to. I was looking to see if they had any other jobs that I could apply to, or, you know, similar ones around me. And a job opened up at that company that I was very interested in. So I put my application in again, got picked, went for the interview, passed, started the next phase of that, what's it called? Like the process, I guess. And my boss who hired me literally handpicked me, like came out at the front and was like, Ashley, and I was like terrified and I was like, what? And he was like, you can come with me. And I was like, I'm scared. And he told me that he wanted to offer me a better job than what I was applying for, with a little bit more pay, and he wanted me to work for him. And I was like, okay. So I took that job, and every time I realize how upset I was in 2021 when I applied for the job and didn't pass my interview, I am just reminded of how happy and grateful I am that I didn't get that job, because I wouldn't be in the job I am now. Because I failed the interview, I mean, it felt like the world was coming down, and it did take me another 8 months before I actually got another job with them. But the job that I had originally applied for, now that I am working for the company, it's just not, they're not happy. They're not, like, the people that work there in that department are just, it's such a stressful job. It is extremely taxing and the environment isn't great. And so I'm very grateful that I failed that board, and now I have my current job that I love. I have a great boss. I have great coworkers. I have, you know, a better work environment than I would have had. And at the time I didn't see it, but now I'm like, I will forever be thankful that they failed me on that, because this job is better. Like, but you don't see it at the time. So like, hindsight is 2020, of course, but that obviously has nothing to do with red string theory. But that was just a little bit of like, looking back at things, like if I hadn't failed that board, I would be in a completely different position than I am right now. Or maybe not even still with the company, you know, there's so many things. Just like if I hadn't said yes to Matthew, I wouldn't be married in this apartment. If, like, so many things. But it's also, you know, like, you are bound to cross paths with people. And I don't believe in right person, wrong time. I don't know. I don't believe in that, personally. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people believe in that. A lot of people believe that it could be the right person, but you both have to go your separate ways, grow up and come back. And I don't think that's true, because I personally think if it's right person, it's right time. Like, okay, we met each other, but we're both not fully mature enough, or we both have a lot of working to do. that doesn't mean that you guys need to break up and date other people to figure out that you guys actually like each other. No, that means you just have to work on yourself. You can do that in a relationship, and you can work on you guys as a couple, or even like friendships. Like, so many other ways that that can happen. But as a couple, I just don't believe in right person, wrong time, because if it's truly the right person, there should be nothing that should be able to break you guys up. If you have to work on yourself, that's fine. Do it in a relationship. I have been in therapy for a year, or a little over, like, was it a little over a year? I went to therapy for. I didn't break up with Matthew. Like, we got married in the middle of it. Like, he was supportive, but if you have the right partner that's supportive of it, obviously it's a little easier. But if it's the right person, they will support you. So I don't believe in right person, wrong time. I believe if they're the person for you, you guys will make it work and it'll be fine. Also, I think the red things there's another theory, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like when you've crossed paths with people multiple times before you actually knew them. So, like, me and Matthew have crossed paths maybe only a handful of times before we actually knew who each other were. He worked at a jewelry store in the hometown that we're from, and I had went into that jewelry store multiple times to get jewelry fixed, sized, the whole thing. And we looked at the times that when he worked there, and he was the only person. The jewelry store was very small. He was the only person that was really like up front. So he would be who I had to talk to. And I looked at the timeline of when I would have been and when he would have been working there, and he definitely helped me. Neither of us remember it, but I feel like I vaguely do. He doesn't, but he also served a lot of people. So it was like we crossed each other's paths back then and had no idea. And his mum used to also come into one of the restaurants, the bakery that I used to work at, quite often. So it was like we knew stuff like that. I think is just really crazy. I have another one where one time me and my friend were talking about a concert we had both been to before we were friends, and it came up on our Snapchat memories, so we like sent it to each other and we're like, oh my god, we both went to the same concert. And it's crazy because we were both at the same concert. I think it was like a year before we became friends. We were both at the same concert, and we were like a row like up from each other. Like, she was right in front of me and I was behind her. And I think that's so crazy because like we didn't even know each other, but we were right there. Stuff like that freaks me out a little bit, but I also think it's really interesting to see how life plays out like that. Like, you are tied to certain people. You are, whether it's a platonic friendship or a romantic like relationship friendship, you are tied to people in certain ways, and you are meant to meet these people. These people are meant to cross your path, whether it's to teach you a lesson, or teach you how to be loved, or how to love, or to just be your support forever. Like, not everyone's going to stay in your life that crosses your path, obviously. Like, some people are only here for a little bit to teach you something, and then they move on. Like, then it moves on. Some people are here for life. And I think when you meet the people that are here for life, like, like, there is a click, and you're just like, you just know. You're like, no, this person's going to be with me, like, for good, like, ride or die. This is it. But it's also, like, I believe in soulmates and soul ties. And I think that when you meet the person that is your true soulmate, that there's just something about it so strong that that person is not going anywhere. They're not. That's your soulmate, and that is it. And you can also have platonic soulmates, but we'll get into that in a second. To me, a soulmate is someone who knows you better than you know yourself. They make you a better person, and they know you like the back of their hand. And you guys are tied together for life, and no matter what you go through, they are going to be there, no matter what. There's someone who knew you and accepted you for all of your flaws and understood you. That is a soulmate. I think it's like a spark that ignites when you meet them, and the love runs so deep and so strong that it can just never be doubted. No matter the season of life, no matter what is going on, no matter where you are in your headspace, it's just never doubted. And when I say soulmate, it's not the we're destined to meet and love you kind of soulmate, but rather, I'd pick you every time kind of soulmate. And no matter what happens or what we go through, it'll always be us. I love you by choice kind of soulmate. Like, that's what it means. And it's like, to be loved by choice is the most beautiful thing. The fact that someone wakes up every day, every day and chooses to love you, doesn't love you just because you're family, doesn't love you because, oh, we're related and I have to love you and have no choice, basically, like, oh, they love me because I'm family, or oh, they love me because whatever. No, they love you because they love you. Like, they genuinely see everything in you and they adore every bit of it. They choose to love you every single day. They wake up and they choose you. And I think there's something so beautiful about that. So, platonic soulmates. I do think platonic soulmates exist. I had one, but I'm not really sure at the moment. But it's a little confusing. But it's not meant to be more than a friendship. Like, there's no love involved, like romantic. It's just purely friendship, love, and that's as far as it goes. And that is a platonic soulmate. It's the kind of friendship that no matter what, they're there. No matter what it is, 3 a.m, dead in a ditch, calling them, they're coming. No matter what, they are the friend that you call and they answer every single time and they show up for you no matter what, even, and they know you better than you know yourself. You know, like, you come home and you're having a shit day and they show up at your door and they're like, hey, I just felt like you needed to talk, or you needed a girls' night, or whatever. That's your platonic friendship or your platonic soulmate friendship. Because there is the person out there that they show up in your life and you wonder how you ever existed without them. You wonder how you ever got through a situation, a scary moment, and anything in life without that person, because they are your go-to. They're who you call. They're who you run to for everything. And it's vice versa when it's like soulmate. Like, they are your platonic soulmate, but you are also theirs, if that makes sense. It is love that is 100% purely platonic and no romance, but so much love that is never meant to fade. And no matter what, you guys will always have it, like a twin flame. And I think soulmates in any aspect it's a very big, heavy word, but I think they are rare and I think you hold on to them for dear life because life is better with them. To be loved and to love is one of the greatest gifts and the best experience. It is one of the beauties of the world to be loved and to give love. But heartbreak is the most gut-wrenching feeling, and to have your heart broken, you have been loved so well that your heart breaks when they're no longer around. And I also think that can be beautiful because you loved them so much and they loved you so much that your heart is breaking when it ends. And I think that's beautiful too. But I want to know what you guys think about soulmates and red string theory. Like, are these all just things that I've read too much into, or do we believe in them? I really think red string theory is a thing, but I do believe in soulmates, platonic and romantic. But I'm not sure about the red string theory. Like, a little hazy, but I'm all here for it. So I'm just going to leave you guys with that thought. That was my 2 cents. We're going to wrap it up. But yeah, heartbreak sucks when you're going through it, but that means you've been loved well. Hindsight is 2020 because you look back and you see just how different your life would be if you had made one different choice. Your whole life could look different. It's interesting, but I love you, honeys, and I will see you guys next Friday as always. Bye, honeys.